Greetings. Welcome to Dr. English's Book Lovers Book Club. I'm Dr. English and I teach English. This week I'm going to review the book In the Wild Light by Jeff Zentner. And this is my first book by him that I've read. And I've heard, though, that his other book, The Serpent King, is really quite good. I've heard that from a couple of other teachers. So that'll be on my reading list. This is a book that students did in my young adult literature class. And I can't recall exactly what they said about it. It wasn't one that stood out, and I'm surprised by that because this is so beautifully written. It's a story that's told through Cash Pruitt's eyes, and he's a kid from Sawyer, Tennessee, and he and his best friend Delaney discover a new mold in the caves of Tennessee. So she gets national coverage about, and this mold is named after her, penicillium delanium, something like that, and somebody that some benefactor gives her the opportunity to go to private school in Connecticut, and her one condition was that that Cash could come. And Cash was just your typical Tennessean kid who's mowing lawns. He's had a lot of trauma in his life, and Jeff Zentner really does he does a little few things that I think are somewhat political, and some of the things that he says about living in Tennessee. I found that kind of striking, actually. It's subtle. It's not really, right out there in your face, but you do get a sense of, especially the drug problems, because Cash's mother has died, and Delaney's mother is in the throes of drug addiction. But the way that Zentner does it is really, it's really respectful about it, and what these two young adults have been facing because of it. And so much of the book, it's just like the characterization is incredible. You just fall in love with Delaney and Cash just immediately, because you just feel like you're right there with them, going through all that they're experiencing. And I just feel like he did such an incredible job. And then later in the book, you have Vi and Alex, and they're just characters that you really want to just give them a hug, because he's done such a good job of showing what kind of friends you can have in a brand new place. So most of the a lot of the book is just leading up to his Cash's struggle, because he was raised by his mama and papa, and his papa has emphysema and is really not healthy. And so it's just a really it's an intense inner struggle for Cash to go with Delaney. And then you get there's just one narrator, there's no multiple views, but you still can feel the tension for Delaney. Like, she is really concerned that Cash isn't going to go, and it's just astounding to me that there's an opportunity for someone else to have their education paid for by a benefactor. And Cash is always like, that's the other inner struggle. He has the inner struggle of leaving mama and papa, but he also has the inner struggle of like, I am not worthy of this. And it's clear that he is a writer. It's like from the very beginning you realize that Cash is a storyteller, like many people from Tennessee, or what I consider the Ozarks or Appalachia. Appalachian is what I found out. That's how you pronounce it, which I just thought was funny. I did not know that. I've been mispronouncing it for all my life. And so that was, a news to me. He doesn't really want to leave his mama and papa. And you totally understand it as you're reading it. You get it. Like, this is like a really huge decision for him. But both of his mama and papa, want him to go. Like, they're so excited for him to have the opportunity of a lifetime. And so I would say maybe not quite half the book is about that inner struggle, and it's just really well done that you feel so much anguish for him to leave everything he's ever known, and there's security in that. And I've been a place conscious educator for most of my teaching career, and I definitely think this, In the Wild Light, is a place conscious book, because something about Tennessee from reading this book, and about the people, but also about the culture, about the geographical space. And that's what place is to me. Like, what do we know about this particular place? What do we know of its geography, its topography? And Chase and his pawpaw, and Delaney too, they like to get out on the canoe on the river. And having lived in Southwest Arkansas and then Nebraska, rivers were a big thing in my life growing up. I grew up on the Platte River. It's a little bit different than, the rivers in Missouri and the lakes in Missouri. But I understand completely the beauty that surrounded me when I was out on the river. And so I must be what we call a river rat. I didn't think I was, but I think I must be because, and my father was, he was totally a river rat. He loved to fish and be on the Loop and the Platte River both. And it's just really beautiful to me to find another writer who gets it, who understands the river and what we take from, what it gives us, I guess, not what we take from it, but what the rivers give us. So I'm going to read a portion about a scene on the river, and I've read it twice, and I cry every time. Jeff Zentner, his writing, his prose is so beautifully done. It really does elicit emotion. So I cried. This is before even halfway through the book, and I thought this is going to be a book and a half for me, because that's very unusual for me to cry halfway through a book. Usually by the end I might, but not halfway through the book. But it was so beautifully crafted. So if I cry while I'm reading this, I don't think I'll apologize. I will just try to get through it. It takes a really incredible writer to write that kind of poignancy into a book. And plus I just understand the relationship Cash had with his pawpaw. I had that with my own grandma, or a Polish grandma was a babcia. And so I understood this so much, like that much love that they had for each other. So I'll read this. Delaney's mama worsens. Delaney has to Narcan her back from the brink of death at least once that I know of. 3 hours later, her mama was back out looking for a fix. Their electricity gets cut off, then their water. They start getting eviction notices. By end of summer, Delaney is essentially living in our house. Pawpaw's health deteriorates too, but one shining morning a few weeks before I'm set to leave, he wakes up and he's having one of his good days. He asked me to take him out on the river. I call my lawn mowing appointments and tell them I can't make it and why. They understand. He sits in the front of the canoe like I used to, with his oxygen tank. He doesn't paddle. He's not having that good a day. I sit in the back the way he used to and paddle for us both. We stop at the bank for a while to rest, still sitting in the canoe, the water slapping gently at the sides like the sounds of a baby clapping. Paw looks around, lances of sunlight piercing the clouds, insects flitting across the river surface. A golden day. This is a beautiful world, he murmurs. Yeah, it is. I'm going to miss it when I'm gone. I start to say, it'll miss you too, but my voice catches. Fortunately, he doesn't look back. I can't bear eye contact with him in this moment. He keeps gazing outward. If I make the cut, I hope heaven is this exactly. To hell with your clouds and harps. Give me a fine day on the water with my grandson. It don't get no better than this. My throat aches as it dams up sobs. Paw turns and looks at me. His eyes are ancient and gray as the February sky weighted with snow. I hope you bring your children and grandchildren here. I nod and try to speak, but the bulwark breaks and tears cascade down my face. I can't meet his gaze anymore. He gives me a slight, sad smile. Mickey Mouse? He says softly and waits until I meet his eyes again. I love you. He falters as he says it, but not as if doubting what he is saying, like someone who believes what they're saying so much that saying it doesn't feel like enough. There's only so much weight words can bear. I love you too, I hear the same hitch in my voice. We best get home. Yes, sir. As we turn into the boat pullout, I'm certain this is the final time I'll ever be on the river with my pawpaw. But then he turns and asks me quietly if I'll scatter his ashes on the river when he's gone, as we did with my mama, and I know that this is the second to last time I'll ever be in this hallowed place with him. That's just beautiful. So one of the other things that I always talk about is would I teach this book? And I'd definitely teach this book. If I, as a place conscious educator, if I was living in Appalachia, or I was living in the Ozarks or other, either of those places, this really captures that kind of Southern, and I don't mean, I'm just saying it could be other, deeper South, what I would consider like Louisiana or Mississippi or Alabama. But like I think when I think of this book, I think of, you know, West Virginia, Kentucky, Tennessee, Missouri, Arkansas. I think of those states in particular as the culture. So I would definitely teach this because it's really not anything in here that's explicit. It's just so beautifully crafted for young people, for adults too. In that he doesn't. I don't feel like, you know, he's just explicit about some of the things that are happening, but he's not explicit about the drug use or any of those things. It's there's another scene, but it's not explicit, but it's a, you know, Cash actually saves the day and does a heroic thing. Yeah, whether if I had a chance to teach it in class, I would. It's just beautiful prose and poetry too. Cash finds something about himself when he gets to the school in Connecticut. And definitely I would do it as a novel panel, a book club book, or literature circle. And I would certainly have it on my shelf for supplemental reading for anybody who'd be interested. Thank you for joining me this week. It was just a pleasure to read this book. I couldn't put it down. Next week, I'm going to read The House in the Cerulean Sea by T.J. Klune. And I do remember that this book, by the group that read it really praised it. They loved this book, and they loved T.J. Klune. And this is the first time I've read T.J. Klune. So I'm coming into it with very, you know, innocent eyes. I'm looking forward to reading it and looking forward to talking about it next week. Thanks for joining me. Bye.